What's going on, guys? It is Will here, back again, once again, for another episode of the Gridiron Talk podcast. We got three more episodes to go for this season. Obviously, last week was the divisional round of the playoffs. A lot of good games, four great games, not one of them. And for the first time in this podcast's short history, we have a little three-man episode. I'm joined again with Joey, who's been filling in with Nick. For Nick the last couple weeks, since Nick's been pretty busy. But Nick is also returning for like a couple after his, like I said, his couple week hiatus. So, like I said, first time we've had all three of us. So I'll start with Joey. Joey, how have you been the last week?
I've been really good. I've been enjoying some football games and just seeing a bunch of crazy news happen, which we're going to talk about today. And I'm pretty excited about it.
And Nick, I know you've taken the last 2 weeks off. So how have you been? Have you been good?
Oh man, I've been pretty good. Work's been crazy lately, but that's the way of the road. I'm glad to be here, talk football with the boys, and I'm excited for these couple games that we got coming up here to see who's going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yes, sir. I think we're all excited to see who will be in the Super Bowl in this special 10th episode of the Gridiron Talk. It's just kind of perfect that on the 10th episode, all three of us can finally do our podcast together that we've been talking about doing for a long time now. So as Joey said, we have our couple of discussion topics that we did last week. Then we have two games, and then we have our discussion points or three key factors for each team to win the game. Something a little bit different to do since there's only two games, and want to make sure the content is very right to the point, but still very informative. So with all that being said, guys, are you both ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's dig into it. So our first topic, a pretty sad one, is that Philip Rivers retires after 17 years in the NFL. 16 years with the San Diego/LA Chargers, and he obviously finished this year with the Colts. So I'll start with Nick. Nick, what are your thoughts on Philip Rivers retiring? Is he in the Hall of Fame? Is he not? And what are your just general thoughts on him?
Oh man! All right, so Philip Rivers, he was an excellent quarterback his whole career. If you can get 17 years out of a guy who puts up the numbers that he has, I think you'd be happy. Having said that, he never won a Super Bowl, and I can honestly see the argument going either way, and I can't disagree with either side. I saw a statistic online. It showed Philip Rivers' statistics over his career versus Eli Manning's. Rivers' statistics are considerably better, but Eli Manning has the 2 Super Bowls. So who would you rather have? I think it comes down to the Super Bowls, but that's just me personally. I don't know. What do you think?
Personally, I think, I don't know, he has a shot, but he's definitely not a first ballot Hall of Famer. His stats were really good, like you said, but it's not the fact that he'd even win the Super Bowl. He never even played in the Super Bowl, which is a big factor too. But he was an Iron Man. He had the second longest streak, obviously behind Eli Manning's, or maybe not. I think Eli Manning had the Iron Man streak, but he had the second consecutive streak. He's played every single game since 2008, I think. And he even played through a torn ACL in the AFC title game in 2007. So he was durable. I know early on in the podcast, he talked about how he was getting old and he was not as good as he used to be. But, I mean, he was still pretty solid, He was definitely, I would say, in the top 15 quarterbacks in the league. He definitely is not at Mahomes' level, but like I said, he was a solid quarterback. But, Joey, what are your thoughts on Philip Rivers? Do you think he's a Hall of Famer, and how do you think his legacy will be received in the NFL community?
Yeah, so I think personally he'll become a Hall of Famer just because of his statistics that he has. Like Nick said, when you compare him to Peyton Manning, when you not look at the Super Bowls, he's got really good statistics, and if he doesn't get in a Hall of Fame, he's gonna get in a parent Hall of Fame. And I remember he was talking about how he wanted to coach. I think he said he wanted to coach some high school football or college football when he retires. So it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes with that. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Eli Manning, Joey, not Peyton Manning, but yes,
Oh, man, nice.
he does have. No, yeah, you're good. He does have better stats statistically than Eli Manning, but like Nick said, he had the 2 Super Bowl wins. And not being biased with a Giants fan, I would rather have a slightly worse quarterback statistically with 2 Super Bowls than a better quarterback statistically with no Super Bowls. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Let's get into our next topic of discussion, and we have a bunch of head coach hirings. Every team but one has a new head coach. So the first one was the Jets hire Robert Saleh. I think I'm saying that right. Former 49ers defensive coordinator. And he brought Mike LaFleur, who is Coach Matt LaFleur's younger sibling, who is the QB coach in San Francisco, with him to the Jets as the new offensive coordinator. So what do you think of this hiring? I'll start with you, Joanne, this one. I personally think this is a great hire. I think, obviously, last year's defense when they went to the Super Bowl was obviously better. But this year, they still had a top-5 defense with a lot of key injuries. So do you think this is a good hire by the Jets to have a new offensive coordinator and a new head coach?
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. I know a lot of the teams, I've been hearing about, and a lot of fans been saying that, they were in their top list of, coaches to hire, and he ended up with the Jets, which is, not really people expecting that. And, hopefully he can help the defense out of the Jets, improve from last year and, win some more games this year.
What about you, Nick? What do you think about the Jets hiring him?
Yeah, I agree. I like Robert Saleh. He was a big name last year and someone that I actually wanted the Giants to pursue as a Giants fan, but it didn't come to fruition. I'm happy for the Jets that they got a coach that seems like a really well-rounded coach. He seems like a good guy, and he knows how to coach a really strong defense. And let's not forget, while the Jets were horrible this year, their defense wasn't nearly as bad as their record shows. And with a defensive-minded head coach like Saleh, I think they have a good foundation to work from with him. And Mike LaFleur, too, he's a hell of an offensive mind. So I'm excited for the Jets. I think any fans of the Jets should be excited about these moves. And it's probably my favorite coach hire so far this offseason.
I agree. I would say personally that Eric Bieniemy, I think that's his name, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, is obviously at the top of everyone's list.
Mm-hmm.
But Robert is definitely a close second. I remember, like you said, last year he was. I thought that he would be a head coach. Like this would be his first year this year. Robert Sal, or I think that's his name, Sal. But yeah, I thought he would be a coach this year, but he opted to stay with the Niners every year. Maybe because he thought they would win the Super Bowl. They got close last year. And like I said, injuries hamper them, but they still had a very good defense, still top 5, thanks to key players like Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, the rookie, Richard Sherman coming back. So all in all, I think the Jets have a great future with, like you said, a great head coach and a good offensive-minded coach because, like I said, I think he was the QB coach. He may have been the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. I don't remember, but the 49ers had a very good offense with him and Shanahan. So I think that will transition nicely to New York. Another head coaching hire is the Falcons hiring Arthur Smith, who was the former Titans offensive coordinator. I think this is a good move by the Falcons as well. We all saw what happened with Matt LaFleur and Green Bay. He's a great head coach. So I think it'll be a similar situation for the Falcons. What about you guys? Nick, what do you think about this hire with Arthur Smith going to the Falcons to be their new coach?
Yeah, I got to be honest. I don't know much about Arthur Smith or what he brings to the game. To me, at least, he's an unknown. But, I mean, I don't think it gets much worse than what they had last season. I know that the Titans' offense has been pretty decent the last few years. So I think at this point in the season, whenever your team makes any kind of move, like a new head coach, a new GM, for the most part, you're going to be optimistic about it moving forward, and you're going to be excited. And I think the Falcons, they have no reason to be other than optimistic or excited about this move.
What about you, Joey? What are your thoughts on him getting hired by the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, I'm the same here with I don't know much about him either, but he made a statement the other day saying how Matt, he's going to take care of Matt and Julio and get some more talent, get some more weapons for Atlantic offense, and I think it's a good move for Atlanta.
I think it's a very safe hire, but we'll have to see how good of a coach he is in the next 5 or so years.
Mm-hmm.
We got 2 more head coach hirings. The next one is the LA Chargers hired Brandon Staley, who was the former defensive coordinator for the LA Rams, as their new head coach. So he's staying in the LA area. Personally, again, I don't know much about him as well, but he's a young guy, and I think this might be a poor hire. I think this might be a Zach Taylor or Cliff Kingsbury 3.0. But that's just my opinion. The Rams defense is very good, but I just don't see it. He's a younger guy, and I don't think it'll translate well. I don't think this is the right hire for the Chargers. I think Eric Bieniemy would have been the better choice, or even the Lions head coach that they got. I think that was a good hire. But what are your guys' thoughts, Nick, on I'll start with you, with Brandon Staley being hired.
So similar to Arthur Smith, I don't know a lot about him, but what I do know is that when these head coaches are hired, the GMs, they know what they're doing. They bring in guys that have networks that can, extend their webs to these organizations. By bringing in Brandon Staley to the Chargers, they're creating a pipeline between them and the Rams, not just because they're both in LA, but now that these guys that are that play for the Rams see that their defensive coordinator is the new head coach for the Chargers. Maybe you'll see guys like Aaron Donald or, Jalen Ramsey or these kind of guys. They're going to be like, oh, man, I love playing for Coach Staley. When he was my defensive coordinator, he's got a head coaching gig now. Let me go talk to him and see what he can do for me over there with the Chargers. That's the kind of mindset that you have to be thinking when you see these new head coaches getting their jobs. Where did they come from? Where do they have their roots? And where are their pipelines laid down? Because it brings in all new types of talent that you have a one-up on all the other coaches out there. So I think we could see some potential Rams players switching to the other LA team in the next few years.
What about you, Joey? Do you agree with what Nick said? With it creates a pipeline between the two teams?
Yeah, he's staying in the same city as it now. Los Angeles Rams and now the Chargers, and I feel like this is a pretty good decision to make. I feel like the Chargers, they made a lot of bad decision making this past season. They probably should have won more games, but with poor coaching. So now that they have maybe some better coaches in here, they can snag some more wins. But I feel like it's a pretty good. He's going to do a pretty good job. I know the Raiders are trying to target him first, but he ended up with the Chargers.
So I was wrong. We have 2 more head coach hirings. We just got one announced as we were doing this. The second to last one is the Detroit Lions hired Dan Campbell, former Saints assistant head coach, and he was their tight ends coach as their new head coach. Personally, from what I've seen, this was a pretty solid hire. The Lions have a lot of potential on offense, especially if they keep Matt Stafford and Kenny Galladay. But even if they don't, they still have a young core to build around like DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson. So I think this is a very under-radar hire. I know the 2 biggest candidates, as we know, is Robert Sale and Eric Bieniemy, but I think this is a pretty solid hire for Detroit Lions fans. What about you, Joey? What are your thoughts on Dan Campbell being hired by the Lions?
Yeah, I know a lot of Lions fans that pretty happy about this decision, and he signed with a 6-year contract, so he's probably going to be there for a while, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does.
What about you, Nick? What are your thoughts on this hiring by the Lions?
Yeah, like Joey said, I think whether Lions fans are excited or not, they're in it for the long haul with them, so they better strap in and get ready for whatever happens. I think he's going to be a good coach. I don't think it gets much worse than what they've had to deal with the last few years. So it's only up from here.
And lastly, like I said, this just got braked by Adam Schefter. The Philadelphia Eagles picked Nick Sirianni, the former Colts offensive coordinator, for their new head coaching position. Personally, I thought it was stupid that they fired Doug Peterson. Although he did throw that last game, he did win them a Super Bowl. So it's very, I guess, a tough subject. But this, on the other hand, might work for them. Because if you guys know, the Eagles' former offensive coordinator, when they won the Super Bowl, was Frank Reich. He is now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. So now they're taking one of his proteges, I guess, back to Philadelphia. So maybe this was a good hire. Maybe it wasn't. But if they want Frank Reich 2.0, maybe this will be the man they're looking for. Joey, I know that you know more about the Eagles than me and Nick because me and Nick hate the Philadelphia Eagles. So do you know anything about Nick Sirianni? Or are you happy about this hire for Eagle fans? Or
Well, I'm not really an Eagles fan, so I don't know how I feel about it. But as an NFL fan, I feel like this is a good decision for him. You know, this is a good coach for them to pick. You know, led the Colts to the playoffs. You know, they almost beat the Bills, and you know, I feel like their play calling is what the Eagles really wanted. They wanted a coach that, you know, makes best play calling. You know, like plays the right calls, and I feel like Doug Peterson didn't really do that back in Philadelphia, and you know, hopefully they get the job done. You know, for Eagles fans, but I think it's a decent hire.
what about you, Nick? Obviously, we want this guy to suck as Giants fans. So, what do you think about him?
All I know is I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in the general manager meeting between him and the head coach of the time, Doug Peterson. I want to know what got said when Doug Peterson got fired. I want to know if they brought up the fact that he benched his quarterback and it basically looked like they intentionally lost. I want to know if that's what was said. And I want to know when they hired this Nick Sirianni, I want to know if that they said something along the lines of, you will never do that kind of stuff. You know, we want to win. We don't want to tank for draft positions. I want to know what they expect out of him. I would imagine it's something along those lines. But I feel like it's kind of embarrassing to be an Eagles fan right now with all this drama that's going on. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't really know what else to say.
We will see. But that was all of the head coaches that had been hired. Lastly, the Texans are the only team that need a head coach. Deshaun Watson is pushing for Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs' offensive coordinator. He wants them to be their head coach. Maybe he stays in Houston. Who knows? Lastly, with the head coaching thing, I'll start with you, Nick, on this one. Who do you think the Texans should pursue as a head coach? I think Eric Bieniemy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if they want to have any chance of keeping Deshaun Watson around, it's got to be Eric Bieniemy. If they don't get him, I can't see Deshaun Watson staying in Houston. He's so out of it, and he's just upset, and you can see it, and I don't blame him. So for me, it's 100% all in Eric Bieniemy and only Eric Bieniemy.
What about you, Joey? Do you have any other candidates for the Texans' new head coach, or do you agree with us that it should be Eric Bieniemy?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I was going to say Adam Gase, but I don't think that would have been a good pick.
Adam Gase. So we got 3 more topics of discussion. First one is the release. The Ravens release Pro Bowl running back Mark Ingram. I'm not surprised by this. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards kind of handled the load in the second half of the season. Maybe he'll get picked up by a team that needs a running back. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I think Mark Ingram is still a solid running back. Secondly, we have this is a big topic. The Steelers have signed Dwayne Haskins to a 1-year contract. Nick, I'll start with you on this one because I know we talked about Dwayne Haskins in the past. I think he's going to be looking for the nearest strip club in the Pittsburgh area, if I'm being honest. Nick, what are your thoughts on Dwayne Haskins getting signed for the Steelers? Do you think he's their franchise quarterback after Ben retires or no?
I mean, I think you're probably better off playing Mason Rudolph or what's the other guy?
Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah, him. Look, I understand why everyone was so hyped up around Haskins coming out of the draft. Those Ohio State quarterbacks, they always look great coming out of the draft, but they are not professional system quarterbacks. He is not a professional quarterback, and he's also a off the field problem. He just is. He goes to strip clubs. He loses he doesn't follow COVID protocol. He lost his captain's badge. And I mean, with a team that already has a Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't know what the hell they're thinking.
What about you, Joey? What are your thoughts on this signing?
Yeah, I know it's gonna be really crazy. I wonder if they're gonna make any TikToks together. That'd be pretty incredible. But I just heard about it when you guys were telling it to me. So this is very 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 crazy news, and I don't know what to expect. I don't know, like, do they plan on keeping Big Ben? Like why would they sign Dwayne Haskins? Like Nick said, they already got backup quarterbacks that are more solid than Dwayne Haskins is. You know what I mean? He's a problem.
I agree. I guess we'll have to see what the future holds for Pittsburgh. I think Big Ben has 1 year left on his contract, so maybe they're gonna have him sit under Big Ben, but who knows? I guess we'll just have to see. But I don't think he's the answer. Like Nick said, I would take Dobbs and Mason Rudolph over what's his name, Dwayne Haskins. But that's just my opinion.
One other quick thing to
All
add.
right.
I would rather have Josh Rosen on my team than Dwayne Haskins. At least Josh Rosen isn't a problem off the field. That's my only thing. I'm done.
Well, Nick, but there was 9 other mistakes dropped ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley. 2 of them. And Baker Mayfield. And Denzel Ward. Oh, jeez. But, Nick, I know this is a topic that you want to do, that you yourself wanted us to talk about. So go ahead. Lead us into our last discussion topic before we get into the conference championship games.
Yeah, so with a lot of the growing unrest in Houston, we talked about this a little bit a few minutes ago, between Deshaun Watson and the Texans. It's looking more and more likely that Deshaun Watson, among many other teammates on that team, they want out. They want out of Houston. They want to find a new home because it seems like the organization does a really good job of wasting talent. So my question, I wanted to ask both of you guys, who are your top 3 teams to potentially make a run at Deshaun Watson? I'll start with you, Will. Who do you think?
My top 3 in no particular order would be 3, the Patriots. We saw what they can do with Cam Newton. Cam Newton, if I had to compare, Deshaun Watson's like a better Cam Newton in his prime. He's a mobile quarterback. He can throw deep, unlike Cam Newton. He's like a younger, better Cam Newton. And we saw what Josh McDaniels did with that offense. Pretty solid on the ground. They were 7-9. They were pretty, average. So I think with Deshaun Watson, it catapults the Patriots into like a pseudo Ravens. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Kind of like the Ravens, but you can still throw the ball because it's Deshaun Watson. So I think the Patriots is 1. Number 2 is the San Francisco 49ers. Now my dad's a big 49ers fan. He wants Deshaun Watson bad. Not that Jimmy G is necessarily awful, but it's the fact that Deshaun Watson is just crazy. He's a next level talent. Not as good as Patrick Mahomes, but obviously very good. And the 49ers, if they got Deshaun Watson, I think they would be very set on offense, especially with a run-heavy team that they are, with Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, and Jeff Wilson Jr., Jerick McKinnon. Like, they just have great running backs. I think Deshaun Watson would just catapult them into another Super Bowl appearance. And lastly, a team that should have drafted him, the Chicago Bears. They've been having a poor quarterback situation for my whole lifetime. I don't remember the last time the Bears had a good quarterback. I guess you could say Jake Cutler, but that's kind of kind of a hot take. And they have a lot of, I guess, resources to give them. They could give them, I know Aaron Robinson's a free agent, so they could give him Khalil Mack. I know that's a big trade, but Khalil Mack, a bunch of first-round picks. My point being is they have a lot of draft capital. They can trade a lot of pieces for Deshaun Watson. Maybe even Mitchell Trubisky. Who knows? But those are my 3, the Patriots, the Bears, and the Niners. What about you, Joey?
Yeah, so I think that not in any particular order, like you said, I would say the Patriots. I feel like Bill Belichick, he's got some magic powers. He's probably wants an elite quarterback on his team. Cam Newton didn't really do the job this year. So I see them going to the Patriots. There was reports of him interested in the Dolphins, but, there are new reports coming up today that, the Dolphins wouldn't, or the Texans wouldn't be interested in Tua Tagovailoa. So I don't think he's necessarily going to go to the Dolphins anymore. So like you said, Chicago will be a great option, and I think the 49ers too. So I agree with you.
What about you, Nick?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you guys have said. The only other team that I was thinking about is the Dolphins, like you said, Joey, but I guess they're not really looking into, going for him, or Houston isn't looking for Tua Tagovailoa. The other thing that I actually read about was potentially Carolina, who
Ooh.
honestly, they kind of feel like a quarterback away from being a legitimate offensive team, at least in my opinion. With a healthy Christian McCaffrey, they have 3 really good receivers. Now, we don't know how the rest of the offseason is going to play out. We don't know if they're going to lose Curtis Samuel. We don't know what's going to happen. But if the team stays how they are right now, imagine that offense with Deshaun Watson.
I think that's kind of a fair trade, Bridgewater for Watson, because no, obviously I'm not comparing Bridgewater to Watson, but like you said before, Nick, I think when we were talking about Carolina before, Teddy Bridgewater is a bridge quarterback, no pun intended. He's a perfect quarterback, kind of like Jimmy G, in my opinion. They're a couple years, and then you get your good franchise quarterback like Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow or whatever. So you trade for Teddy Bridgewater. He would have 3 years left on his contract. And then you just kind of rock with him until you draft a quarterback in the next 3 years, whoever it may be. Mm-hmm. They don't have a first-round pick this year. They don't have a second-round pick this year, so they're kind of SOL. They made a bunch of poor trades. They tried to win now with the Dolphins when they traded for Tunzel, and that obviously didn't work. So they're kind of screwed. I could see this team being awful, but with Teddy Bridgewater, I think they don't really have a lot of options. Deshaun Watson's their best player. J.J. Watt wants to leave as well. So I could see this team being one of the worst teams in the league for the impending future if they get rid of both of those guys.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get into the 2 conference championship games, we have keys for each team to win. Each team has 3 key points, and we're gonna discuss all of them as well. So I'll go first. With the Tampa Bay and Green Bay game. I'll start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Nick will talk about the Packers. So my key 1 for Tampa Bay to beat the Packers, run the football. We all know that Green Bay's run defense is poor. That's one of their Achilles heels on this great team. But last time they played, Ronald Jones had 113 rushing yards on 23 carries plus 2 touchdowns. And that's just obviously a great performance, and I expect them to have a run-first attack, especially with Jones and Fournette. Number 2, bring the pressure. Tampa's obviously a blitz-first defense. That's why they're so good at stopping the run. And last time, it was no different. They sacked Rodgers 4 times, and I think they brought in his backup too because they got 5 total sacks. So they had 5 sacks, and they forced Aaron Rodgers to throw an uncharacteristic 2 interceptions. And also with his star left tackle, David Bakhtiari, out for the season, I expect the pressure to be even harder on A-Rod. And lastly, Tom Brady. He arguably is the greatest quarterback of all time, but we can't deny that he's had some games where he's struggled in. Examples being with the LA Rams and the second Saints game. So we need Tom Brady to play like classic TB12, where he plays, no interceptions, no turnovers, throws for about 200 yards. Classic Tom Brady if he wants to win his 7th Super Bowl. Do you guys have anything to add for Tampa Bay's keys to win? I'll start with you, Joey. Do you think they should do anything else, or did I hit the nail on the head?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head perfectly. I would say, for Tampa Bay, do not rely on Tom Brady to win this game for you. Put pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Stop them from passing the ball. Sack him. Maybe get a couple of picks. Aaron Rodgers. He's the most picks he ever thrown this season was against Tampa Bay. So I think just attack Aaron Rodgers and run the football and you'd be ready to go.
What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I agree completely. Tampa Bay, they spent a lot of money this past offseason to make sure that Tom Brady had everything he needed in Tampa Bay to win them a Super Bowl. They got the wide receivers. They got the good defense. They're there to make sure Tom Brady can just manage the game and not lose it for him. And all season, he's been doing a good job of that. There's been some ups and downs, sure. But the last time these 2 teams met, and you guys have both hit the nail on the head when you mentioned it, Aaron Rodgers, he went 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and the Packers lost that game. And, they have the keys to do it again here. It's just the question of will they execute, because this is a different Packers team right now, and they're looking a lot better than they were in Week 6.
For sure. And 2 more points before we get into Green Bay side. One, they're going to be playing in Lambeau Field, which is a big difference, let me tell you, because not only is it snowing, but the Packers have their fans back, and it's just a different atmosphere than playing in Tampa. So, and got to play in the cold, and, Brady might be used to it because he played in New England, but I'm sure like Evans or Godwin, not all of them are used to playing in the frozen tundra. It's going to be freezing and snowing in Green Bay on Sunday, so it might be difficult. And two, like you said, Nick, this is a completely different Packers team. Maybe the Green Bay Packers weren't ready, and that was also Aaron Rodgers' worst game of the season, and in my opinion, the only bad game he had. So the fact that Aaron Rodgers played poor may have been a factor why the Packers lost. I mean, if he played well, they may have won that game. I know they got blown out, but who knows? But that's that. So Nick, lead us into our the keys for the Packers to win this game against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, so I do think this is going to be a great game, and I think the Packers have a legitimate chance to win it. The three keys I think that they need to follow to win this game. The Packers defense needs to step up, and they need to get pressure on Tom Brady. This is not news to any of you listeners here that have listened to this podcast. As Will and I are avid Giants fans, I will note the Giants' success against Tom Brady in the playoffs, that it started at the defensive line. They got pressure on him. They sacked him. They made his life miserable. That's where this game needs to go. We're going to need to see the Green Bay defensive line get pressure on him and bring him down and just do whatever they can to disrupt this game. The next one, Packers offense, they need to get off to a hot start. They need to get the run game involved early and often and try to keep the Tampa Bay offense off the field. We're going to need to see a lot of Aaron Jones. We're going to need to see AJ Dillon. I don't. He might be hurt. I can't remember. I think he's going to play, but he might be hurt. But either way.
And if he is, they still have Jamal Williams. He's still pretty good too.
Jamal Williams. We're going to need to see a lot of Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, AJ Dillon, and we're going to need to see them often. And they have the advantage. They played at Lambeau for years and years and years. And this weather right now, like you mentioned before, leads into my third and final point. Avoid field goals. You need to convert red zone opportunities into touchdowns, being an explosive team like Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay, they have had the luxury of playing down in Florida, where it is beautiful and sunny pretty much year-round. When they go up to Lambeau and they see that it's negative 30 degrees and it's going to be 5 feet of snow on the ground and their snot is going to be turning into icicles, it's going to be real hard to kick field goals. So they're going to need to get touchdowns and get them often. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Will, what do you think?
I agree. Especially with the field goals, because it is harder to kick field goals in the snow. I mean, that's just like common sense. But I agree with you completely with everything you said. The Packers are used to playing in Lambeau, and being from New York, and trying to catch a football when it's cold out. And I'm not a professional athlete, obviously. I'm not saying I am, but it's hard, man. Like, the ball is rock hard. It's slippery. It's definitely difficult. And look at when the Giants played in Lambeau when they were in the playoffs a couple years ago. They sucked. Mm-hmm. They dropped passes all over the place. They couldn't catch the ball. Their life depended on it. It was awful. That was a hard game to watch. And I'm not saying that Mike Evans or Godwin or Brown or Gronk will do that, but my point being, it's going to be hard to kick field goals, and the ball's going to be hard to catch. The Packers are used to it. Tampa Bay isn't. Simple. Joey, do you have anything to add to this? The Packers?
Yeah, so, I know the Packers, they lost to Tampa Bay early in the season, but that was in Tampa. Now, Aaron Rodgers, he's got a lot of momentum, and the Packers are talking all week long about how they can beat this Tampa Bay team. And, I feel like they're going to have the upper hand this game, which we'll talk about in a second. But, I feel like with the weather conditions, like you're saying, them being from Tampa, going up in the snow, I feel like that's going to play a big factor in it. And, it could be helpful for Tampa, in the running game, because, if it's really snowy, it's hard to, throw the ball. So why not run it more? And that might be a bad thing for Green Bay. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this game turns out.
Yeah, I agree with both your guys' point. And that leads into the game itself. The 5th seeded Buccaneers, they finished the season 11-5, which is kind of odd. I thought they'd be better against, obviously, the 1 seeded Green Bay Packers, 13-3. The Packers, we already said that they played them in Tampa Bay before. Tampa Bay, they killed them. They won by 28. That was Aaron Rodgers' worst game of the season. And I don't think that'll happen again. I think Aaron Rodgers is in peak MVP form. Devontae Adams has been killing it. Robert Tonyan, the tight end, Aaron Jones. This is a very solid Packers team, and I think they will go to their second Super Bowl. I got Green Bay winning this game with a score of 31-27. Nick, what about you? NFC title game.
I also have the Packers winning this one, 27-21. I think they're just right now, they're the hot team. They're the better team. I do think this is a great game, though, and I'm excited to watch this one.
Joey, you? Packers or Buccaneers in the NFC title game?
Yeah, this could be anybody's ball game. I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay wins, but I got the Packers winning 31-24. Like you guys said earlier, it's cold weather them coming up there, and I just don't feel like the Packers could lose to Tampa Bay twice. I just don't see that happening, especially the way Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the Packers have been playing. So that's just why I got them on top.
And this is the first time that we see the two legendary quarterbacks in the playoffs, Rodgers and Brady, and that's going to be a lot of fun to watch as well. So I'm excited to watch it. And obviously, our second game, the AFC title game between the Bills and the Chiefs, the 2 and 3, the 1 seed, 13-3 against 14-2. Let me lead into the Bills and their 3 key points to win. Stop the run. The Bills have been having trouble stopping the run all year. That's kind of like the Packers. That's one of their weaknesses. And coincidentally, both of these teams have played each other. Obviously, we talked about the Packers playing the Buccaneers, and the Bills played the Chiefs before in Buffalo. So kind of weird that, they both played each other. And last time they played, Clyde Edwards-Helaire ran for 161 yards. So he went off last time they played, and the Bills are going to need to stop him or Le'Veon Bell, whoever's running the football, Darrell Williams, whoever it may be. They need to stop him. Air it out. Chiefs have a poor secondary. We all know that. That's one of their weaknesses. And the Bills definitely can exploit it, man. But they got Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, and John Brown who's coming back. The Bills need to throw the ball a lot. But they also need to do one more thing, time management. That might contradict it, so let me explain. I don't expect the Bills to snap the ball at one-play touchdown. That's how they're going to lose this game because they can't compete with the Chiefs if they do that. How I mean is play for first downs, not touchdowns. If it's a 3rd and 4, hit Beasley on a slant. 3rd and 2, hit John Brown on a drag. Stuff like that. They need to play for first downs, not touchdowns. Keep Mahomes, if he plays, off the field as long as possible. That's how the Bills will play or win. They can pass the ball a lot, but also, like I said, play for first downs and not touchdowns. Joey, do you agree with my 3 key points of stopping the run, air it out, and time management, or do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially with containing the Chiefs' offense. If you look at the teams that the Chiefs lost to, the Chargers, I know that doesn't really count because they rested their starters, but I'll mention the Raiders again. Earlier in the season when they beat them, they had to outplay them offensively because they know that defensively they couldn't stop them. I know the defense is bad already, but there's no defense that could really contain Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and all those great offensive players. So the best thing you could do is keep them off the football field and make sure every single drive he's come away with a touchdown.
What about you, Nick? Do you have anything to add for Buffalo to win this game?
Yeah, no, I agree. The best defense for Buffalo to win this game is to just play offense really slowly, but, not give Kansas City any opportunity to get on the field. If they want to win this game, not only that, Mahomes needs to not be in the game, in my opinion. Otherwise, if Mahomes is playing, I can't see the Chiefs losing, but who knows? We'll see.
All right, Joey, and give us your 3 keys for Kansas City to advance to their second straight Super Bowl and beat the Bills.
Yeah, so I agree totally with what Nick just said. About Mahomes. He took a really dirty hit or not really dirty. It was a clean hit, but he took a really scary looking hit last week, and he didn't really know where he was for the first few minutes. And does he have a concussion? Is he going to play? We really know the status. But if he does play, I feel like it's going to determine the game. But hopefully, if Mahomes plays, I see Kansas City winning, no problem. Even I feel like they're going to win by multiple points if Mahomes plays, if he's healthy. But I just don't think he will be healthy enough. Even if he does play next week, I don't think he's going to be healthy enough to play, at his max potential next week. And but my second key for Kansas City to win this game is contain Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. like Will said, the Chiefs have a really poor secondary, and the Bills love to take deep shots. We've seen it all season long. They can in a couple seconds is all it takes for the Bills to go down the length of the football field and score a touchdown and score fast. And hopefully the Chiefs are aware for that because this Bills team could really they could really stab you, and they could really hit you really hard with their points and really affect this game just the deep balls. And the third and last final key for the game for Kansas City is do not let the Bills get ahead. Like we were saying, this is kind of like the same thing for Buffalo. Don't let Kansas City get ahead. But for Kansas City, they can't let Buffalo get ahead. They can't let them take those deep shots. They can't let them get big plays. And they just can't allow it. So what do you guys think?
Nick, you go ahead first with this one.
Yeah, I think it comes down to Mahomes. That's all it is, in my opinion. If he plays, they win. If he doesn't play, they lose. I don't have any, faith in Chad Henne. I know that he actually won them the last game with that 3rd and 14 run, but I don't think he can continue that for an entire game. So I think the only chance for Kansas City is a healthy Mahomes. And honestly, I don't think it looks like he's going to be out there healthy, if at all. So
I agree. I did see he practiced yesterday. I don't know to what extent or how much he practiced, but let me just fact check it real quick, but I'm pretty sure he did play. But I agree. But there's one I've lost my train of thought. There's one point I disagree with you guys on. I think the Bills win this game regardless if Mahomes plays or not. Which I know you both said if the Chiefs, if Mahomes plays, I got the Bills losing. I disagree. I think the Bills win this game regardless if he plays or not. If Mahomes plays, I think that's going to be a closer game. But I think that the Bills are the hottest team in football right now. Hell, I think they might win the Super Bowl. That's a iffy, but they have the chance. And I say that because if you look at the Bills' victories, they blew out the Dolphins with their second stringers, with Matt Barkley in them, right? When the Chiefs were barely scraping by the Falcons, the Panthers, they barely beat them. I know the Tampa Bay is good, but they barely beat them. The Chiefs were winning nail biters. And the Bills have been the opposite. They've been blowing teams out. They've obviously won close games, but they haven't lost since the Hail Mary with Kyler Murray to Hopkins. So that stands the point that the Bills, in my opinion, have been a better, hotter team. And with Patrick Mahomes, it says that he's been a limited participant in the practice, which is not good whatsoever. Not only does he have a concussion protocol, but he has a possible neck injury as well. So that's not good at all. I think they sit him not just for this game, but just for the future of Kansas City. You don't want him to have a broken neck or a serious concussion, especially with his fiance having a baby on the way. You don't want anything serious to happen to him. So with all the facts on the table, I have the Bills winning 27-24, regardless if Mahomes plays or not. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I think without Mahomes, I think it's going to be 28-24 for the Bills. I definitely can see what you're saying. The Bills are a really hot team. And I think it would be fun to see a Packers and Bills Super Bowl because both those teams are probably the hottest teams in football right now. So I'm going with the Bills also.
What about you, Joey?
Yeah, so I know anything is possible, but I got the Bills win this game 31-27. The Bills are a very, very well coached football team, and we've seen it throughout the whole season. There's been great play calling, great coaching, and I feel like they're gonna drop a really good game plan this week. They're studying how the Chiefs play right now, I bet, and they're trying to find the best way to win. And I see them coming out top, but like we said, anything could happen. So, but I got the Bills on top.
Right on. Now we have our pick record between Nick and I. It looks like I have won. My record of 77-40 compared to Nick's 73-44. Still pretty close though.
Yeah, I took some shots there towards the end of the season. I was like, all right, I need to make up some ground. Let me take some risky choices. Didn't work out.
Yeah, not to mention with you had faith in Juju Smith-Schuster and his TikTok dancing when I had faith in Hulu and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
But yeah, that concludes the conference championship edition of the Gridiron Talk podcast. Now I know you guys might be asking, well, Will, the Super Bowl is not next week. So what are you going to do? Next week, hopefully everyone can be on like we have this week. We're going to do our special award prediction show where we just go over who we think is going to win the award. You know, the MVP, the comeback player of the year, coach of the year, you know, all that good stuff. If you guys want us to go over the Pro Bowl, I never really thought of it, but if you guys want me to, I will. It's a little bit different this year. They're playing it on Madden, which I don't know why, because Madden kind of sucks, so I don't know why they're playing it on Madden, but whatever. But if you guys want me to go over the Pro Bowl rosters or whatever, I will gladly do that. If you guys want me to make a prediction on the Pro Bowl game, again, I will gladly do that. Just let me know what you guys want me to see. But next week will be the award prediction show, and then the week before the Super Bowl, obviously, will be the Super Bowl prediction and that whole season finale. And then we have the whole off season, which I think I have some content planned for you guys. I'll probably do some interviews with sports athletes if I can, stuff like that. I got a whole bunch of stuff planned for you guys. I don't want to reveal too much, but just don't worry that the podcast will continue into the off season. It's not like I'm going to be canceling it or stopping it until football starts. I will continue it. But Nick, do you have anything to add to the AFC and NFC title games?
Nope, nothing. I'm just excited to watch some football. I'm glad I got to come back and join you guys this week. It's been crazy, but this was a nice change of pace, and I appreciate everyone, and stay safe.
Joey, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, it's the season is a great season of football. You know, with COVID and everything going around, you know, we didn't think we would even have a football season, and it turned out to be. I know there was no fans, you know, in most of the stadiums, but it turned out to be a really, really entertaining. Entertaining season. There's been a lot of great games to watch. You know, there's a lot of, you know, tables have turned. There's a lot of, you know, players coming and leaving and coaches. And I feel like we're very blessed to, you know, be able to watch football, you know, with everything going around.
Yeah. And I didn't even talk about that, but yeah, this was definitely the weirdest football season in my whole lifetime. So a big shout out to the NFL and Roger Goodell and them for making the season possible, because I know that the schedule got messed up a little bit with some games being played on Tuesday or Wednesday or postponements, but I have to give them credit that not a single game was canceled, which is crazy because, you know, they have players going from LA to, you know, Boston and Massachusetts for the Patriots, back to like, you know, Tampa Bay or whatever, the Arizona, like they had all this travel and not a single game got canceled.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy. So a shout out to everyone in the NFL that made the season possible. If you guys like the podcast, like the usual, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share it with all your friends and family. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next week around Wednesday or Thursday. Take care, guys.